In this video, we're going to talk about how we can use what we've learned to solve for quadratic equations, solving by factoring, to apply it to a real-world situation. This is often used in throwing balls up in the air or something going up in the air and then coming back down like motorcycles or balls or whatever. So in this case, they give you a quadratic equation and they already tell you that it's modeled by this equation where t is time and h is height. Now remember when you throw a ball up in the air, it's going to follow a path, sort of what's called a quadratic path. So that means that when you throw it up, it can reach a certain height here on the way up, and then it can reach that same height again on the way down. So there's two different times, sometimes where the height is a particular, or the ball is a certain height. So that's why there's going to be two answers. So here it asks, how many seconds is the height? 192 feet. So 192 feet, we're going to sub in for h. So we'll just replace h with 192. That's our first step. Then we want to rearrange the equation so that 0 is on the right and everything else is on the left so that we can factor it. So we'll subtract 192 from both sides, and we get 0. Okay, and then it wants you to just write the formula. And I'm just going to switch sides here because I like having the 0 on the right-hand side. So all we've done is just put in 192, which is the height, for h, which is also the height. So we haven't actually done any solving or anything yet. Then what your goal is that you would like to have this t squared, or what we would call like an x squared. So basically if we had this type of quadratic equation, we know that we can solve that by factoring. Actually, we can solve it by several methods, but the first one is factoring. If a is 1, it just makes our life a little bit easier, so we want to try to see if we can factor out a greatest common factor. So here we're going to factor out a negative 16, and we'll get t squared minus 7t plus 12, all right, equals 0. Okay, so now we have a quadratic right here, an expression on the inside of the parentheses that we can factor out. So we're looking for something that multiplies to give us 7, but then adds to give us, multiplies to give us a positive 12, but then adds together to give us a negative 7. So we're looking for something that when you multiply it, it gives you a positive 12, but when you add it, you get a negative 7. And if you see that negative 3 times the negative 4 will give you positive 12, but when you look at the negative 3t and the negative 4t, you get negative 7t. So we'll just factor the remaining. Okay, now if we were only factoring, we would just stop at this point, but we're not. It's an equation, it's not just an expression, so we need to actually solve for t. So we want to set each binomial equal to 0 because of the zero product principle. If this is equal to 0 and it multiplies by anything, it makes the whole equation true. If this is equal to 0, and it multiplies by anything else, it'll make the equation true. So we're going to test both of them. So if t minus 3 is 0, then that means t is 3. And if t minus 4 is 0, then that means t is 4. So basically, on the way up, when the ball is thrown at 3 seconds, it's 192 feet. And then at 4 seconds, it's at 192 feet again because it went up and then went back down. So the answer is 3 seconds and 4 seconds is when that height is achieved. And don't forget to put your units in your answer because we're solving a long topic. Okay, let's do a couple more. This is talking about having somebody throw a basketball up in the air. Jerome is throwing a basketball up in the air. The height is in inches, and it's given by this particular equation. How many seconds is the height 80 inches? Okay, so again, we're going to replace the h with the 80. So we'll have 80 is equal to negative 16 t squared plus 96t, and then I'm just going to subtract 80 from both sides. I'm going to put all of this on the left-hand side because I like to have my 0 on the right. It's just a convention. Okay. All right. Then the next thing we're going to do is factor out our greatest common factor. And luckily in this case it's negative 16. So we get t squared minus 6t plus 5 is equal to 0. Now remember, this negative 16 times a positive 5 will give us a negative 80. So when you're factoring a negative out of a negative, you get a positive. So just remember that. Okay, now we're going to factor out the middle portion. So what times what will give me a positive 5, but when you add it together, you get a negative 6. And so negative 1 times negative 5 is a positive 5, but when you add them together, you get negative 6. Sorry about that. Okay, so now because of the zero product principle, you're going to set everything equal to 0. Well, negative 16 is clearly not equal to 0, even though it's being multiplied as well. So we'll have to use, it can't ever be equal to 0, so we'll have to use one of the other two, so, or both of the other two. So t can be 1, and then t minus 5 is 0, so t can be 5. So the answer is at 1 second and at 5 seconds is when the height of the basketball will equal 80 inches. Okay, so that again, when he first throws it up, right about a second after he throws it up, it's that height, and then it's going to keep going, and then about 5 seconds later, it's also at the 80 inches of height. So let's do one more. Danny is a motorsport participant. He jumps up into the air and does this cool flip with his bike. Wish I could do that. I can't do that. The path of the jump, where the height is in feet, is given by this equation. About how many seconds is the height? 76 feet. So again, he's going to reach 576 feet on the way up, and he's going to reach that 576 feet again on the way down. So we'll just substitute 576 for h. Okay, and then we're going to, move it to the other side so that we can have it equal to 0. So negative 16t squared plus 208t minus 576 is equal to 0. And then we'll factor out our greatest common factor. And we get, let's see, negative 13t and 36. All right, now we're going to factor this middle term out. And we see what times what will give us positive 36, but when you add them together it gives you negative 13, and I got a negative 9 and a negative 4, because these multiplied will give me that, but when you add them together they'll give you negative 13. Okay? So then, because of the zero product principle again, negative 16 will never be equal to 0, so it's going to have to be one of these two terms that will solve it. So t minus 9 equals 0 makes t is 9. And t minus 4 equals 0 means that t is 4, because I added 4 to both sides and added 9 to both sides. So the answer is at 4 seconds and 9 seconds after he does this cool motorbike flip is when the height of his motorbike will be at 576 feet. So that's your answer.